Rich with Richbound Photography. And we have a requested, I forget who requested it, but someone in the group said, hey, the Facebook group said, how do you light big rooms? And just so happened last week, shot a pretty big room you can see here. And let me go to the finished shot. Anyway, this is pretty big, pretty high ceilings, you know, I constitute it being a big room. So I'm going to try and tell you. Now, one thing I want to let you know is I do not do on site video. It's just too much work to have it done, and I may start doing a little bit, but I'm going to have to really almost find someone to photograph it for me. So that's maybe coming, but right now I'm just going to try and explain it because I do these computer screencasts. Anyway, so in this big space, what I wanted is to light up this end of it as much as I can. So I started with a triple bracket with three Yongnuo 560s on one stand. I put it straight up above the camera. It's about, gosh, that's about 10, 12 feet up. And I bounced it off the ceiling. You can see this had a white ceiling, drop down ceiling to light off of. So I put it back in this part of it, but behind me over here. And then I also had a Yongnuo 560 on my left on a 8-foot stand, 7-foot stand, and I had one on my right on a 7-foot stand, and I also had one in my arm put up there, another one to add to the three. So I had 6 Yongnuos, and that was the key to this. The other key was my settings are 24 millimeter tilt shift. I used the ISO 400. So I think for big rooms, don't be afraid to push your ISO. Personally, with the Nikon D750, which is a tremendous camera as far as dynamic range, I can really pull a lot of stuff out of that camera. I also did not have sun streaming in. If I did, I would have been hosed, but I would have figured it out. I also had the shutter speed of 1/6. So I got away with that because if you look here, you don't really see a lot of color casts coming off here. It could have been a lot worse. Little bit of color cast from these lights, little warm. I don't mind it whatsoever. Little bit on these, I don't mind it. Little bit from the cabinets, you can see it's a little warmer there than here. And I could actually totally fix that, but I don't mind it. It looks fine. The stools, you know, are that color, so that's no problem. The lights below the countertop, no problem. I'm totally lucked out on this shot because I could have been hosed if it was a different room. But I don't have any sun streaming in here, so I'm not having to deal with blue color casts. A little bit of blue over here. Let me see. Actually, I'm gonna go to the out of the camera shot. So anyway, long story short, I put up 6 lights here, and I'm sure they were all at full power, but I did it at 1/6 of a second, which really let me get some light back here. So I could have also, if I needed to, expose for back there and also expose for up here, but this one just worked out really well. And what I'm going to do now is just the only thing I really did to this image right out of camera is and I wouldn't have gotten this by any means if I didn't use a light. So let me see if I have an ambient shot. Nope, I don't have an ambient shot. So anyway, I felt it was good enough. Anyway, I'm going to go up to what I call my real estate full bump or my special sauce. I'm going to click it, and there you go. Okay, kind of you can see it here. Push the sliders a little bit. And this is kind of a standard look I have, and I will admit this is kind of looking on the verge of HDR, in my opinion, but very good HDR. But I will take it. I didn't want to get too into this. This was a big house. I had to get done with it, and I had to edit it out really quick. So I'm pleased with it. The only thing I really don't like here is if you look here, this black couch, it's kind of blue. So I'm just going down here in my saturation, and I'm going to take out the blue. There we go. Okay. And then you look over here. The blue's gone from there too. Let me go back to where it was. You can see the blue from the sunlight. Take that out right about there. There we go. Anyway, so, big rooms, I wouldn't have any problem if I needed to push my ISO to 800, 1000, even 1600 if I really needed it. These new cameras like the D750 Nikon can really pull some stuff out of it, and dynamic range, and also great ISO. So I want to show you another shot which will show you what I had coming off. So in this area, it looks a little dark, and I will admit that. I could probably have dealt with that. But look at what I've got here coming from this angle. This is kind of the same shot, same lighting setup, and this is where Wayne Capelli always says, you might as well do another shot while you're pointing in the same direction. So I didn't have to change anything almost. But you see here, this is a little slower, 1/5 of a second. And you can see here, I had light coming from here. There's no light in here. I don't think I put a light in there. This is just coming from the window. So I had that light coming in. You can't really see it, but without that other room, it would have been really dark. So we've got that shot. So this is how I would do a really big space for this one. The same thing, I got 6 lights right here. And I just used the ambient light in here. So this is also a single exposure in here. So I lucked out, but I will say that you can, with a lot of power and the right settings, and like ISO 400 and 1/5 or 1/6 of a second, you can light these big spaces and get away with it, especially if you've got a good camera that has some good dynamic range. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them on the YouTube link, or send me a message on Facebook, or just, put it in the group. So I look forward to requests. And again, I will say, I don't know if I mentioned it, this isn't really a fair image because, to be honest, this is pretty easy for what it is. It's a huge room, but, and I should have just taken an ambient shot without any lighting whatsoever to show you what it was like, without the lighting. But I'll be honest with you, it was better than it could have been. So anyway, Rich Baum Photography, signing off. Talk to you later. Bye.